morning, good morning, good morning. How are you this morning? I want to chat with you this morning about boundaries or limits. That's the word for the week, boundaries or limits. So let me ask you, do you know when to say yes and when to say no? Do you know when to say yes and when to say no? Because a person that has established boundaries in their life know when to say yes and when to say no, because they have taken authority over their life. They've taken responsibility for their life, responsibility for their future. So they know when to say yes and when to say no. So, what are boundaries? Boundaries are just guidelines, rules, or limits that you create to help safeguard your life. They're just guidelines, rules, or limits that you create to help safeguard your life. They're cutoff points, cutoff limits. This is where I draw the line. Do not cross this line. See, your boundaries essentially communicate to other people, this is who I am. This is what I believe. These are my values. These are my standards. This is what I will and will not tolerate. These are my boundaries. And we all need boundaries. They are very, very important. Boundaries also help protect us because they're like fences. They help us to keep the good in and the bad out. They're like fences. They help us to keep the good in and the bad out. So they help us keep the people that are good for us, the people that help us and nurture us inside the fences. And the people that want to harm us, or the people and things that have the potential to destroy us outside the fences. So basically they help protect us from unsafe people. And that's important. See, when you have limits in your life, people don't have the freedom or the authority to just come in your life and do as they wish. They're not free to do as they please, to do what they want, when they want, and how they want in your life, because you have boundaries, because you have limits. Boundaries protect you from people that lack self-control. See, a person that lacks self-discipline and self-control, they don't have boundaries. So guess what? They tend to ignore or disrespect other people's boundaries. They tend to ignore or disrespect other people's boundaries, or they want to dominate other people's lives. Why? Because they have no boundaries. They have no limits. Anything goes. But a person that has boundaries, when you have boundaries, you respect people that have boundaries because you understand the importance of having boundaries. You want people to respect your limits and your boundaries, so therefore you're willing to respect other people's boundaries. Look, it's okay to have boundaries, to have limits. It's okay. Healthy boundaries attract the right people into your life. Because people that have limits and boundaries and control, self-control, they are attracted to people that have boundaries, that have limits, that have self-control. But people that don't have boundaries, no self-control, no self-discipline, they don't usually like to be around people that have boundaries or self-control because they can't do what they want in their life. They can't control, or they can't do what they want, when they want, and how they want in that person's life because that person has limits, that person has boundaries. And remember that God gives us boundaries. And anytime that we step outside of God's boundaries, guess what? We have to suffer the consequences. Anytime that we go against the wisdom of God, the principles of God, the will of God, anything God is telling us to do, then guess what? We have to suffer those consequences because God has given us boundaries. So if you don't have boundaries in your life, start incorporating them into your life now. If you don't have them, start incorporating them into your life now. Because you need boundaries. People need to know what you will and will not tolerate. Your values, your standards, what you stand for. And your boundaries communicate that to other people. Let's say you have someone that's always belittling other people. They're always talking about people. They're always condemning and always criticizing other people. And one day you say, you know what? I really let's lift them up. I don't want you always talking about other people. I really don't want that negativity in my circle. I'm really trying to focus on what I need to be doing. I mean, my life is a full-time job, and so I really don't want to speak ill about people. I don't want to belittle and condemn people. I just don't want that negativity in my life. Then guess what are you communicating to them? That these are my boundaries. These are my limits. This is where I draw the line. I'm not going to condemn and belittle. Yes, I can observe people and their behavior and what they're doing. Yeah, but I'm not going to condemn. I'm not going to belittle. See, that's outside my boundary, and I'm not going to allow you to come into my circle and do that, to bring that negative energy into my life, because I don't need it. So you're communicating your boundaries to that individual. Let me leave you with this word, Proverbs 4:23. It says, guard your heart, because it determines the course of your life. Another translation says, guard your heart, because out of it flows the issues of life. Boundaries help you guard your heart and your soul. Everybody and everything shouldn't have access to your heart, access to your soul, because the word says what's in your heart determines your course of life, the issues in your life. So that's why you have to have boundaries. If you lack boundaries, people can plant any kind of seeds in your heart. They are allowed to plant whatever they want into your heart and into your soul. And those seeds take root. And eventually they harvest. They become issues in your life. They determine the course of your life. That's what the word is saying. Guard your heart, because out of it flows the issues. It determines the course of your life. You must protect your life. You must protect your destiny. When you guard your heart, you are guarding your life. You are guarding your future. And boundaries help you do that. Yes, people will test your boundaries, but maintain your boundaries. Stand on what you believe is good for your life, your family, for your future and your destiny. People will test your boundaries, but you have to guard your heart. You have to guard your mind, because all of it is connected to your destiny. Boundaries keep you safe, and they are necessary. So don't ever feel bad about having boundaries. You need to have boundaries. You need to have limits. People need to know who you are, what you believe, your values, your standards, what you stand for, what you will and will not tolerate. And then they will respect that. And if they don't, then guess what? You don't have to engage them. You don't have to be attached to them or connected to them. And it's okay. It's okay. Well, I'm out of time. I hope this word blessed you. I hope it encourages you to set some standards, set some boundaries in your life. Have some limits. It's okay. We all need them. So I hope it encourages you to do that. And respect other people's boundaries. When people say, I don't do that, or I really don't want that in my life, or I don't want to engage in it, respect that. Respect other people's limits. Respect their boundaries. You might not agree with it, but that's their life. Either you can get with it or you can move on. But respect their boundaries. And until we meet again, I love you. May the peace of God and the favor of God be with you. Enjoy your week. Love you.